Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Influencer Series week number 4. This is a forum where every 2 weeks I interview someone who has the insight, the experience to help us take our lives to the next level. And today I am delighted to have Marquis Mitchell with us. Marquis is a man with an incredible story and a wonderful vision. I had the pleasure to meet Marquis in my men's group, Metal International. He agreed to come here today and share his story of recovery, redemption, rediscovery, and how to face the unknown. So I'd like to welcome Marquis to the Influencer Series. And Marquis, my friend, tell us all about the challenge of your lifetime and what happened to you in 2019.
Oh, that's my pleasure. And thank you for having me, Jim. Man, August 3rd, 2019, on a beach in Newport Beach, I found myself paralyzed. Now, how did I become paralyzed? Well, I entered the water. 5 minutes into the water, a wave hit me, broke my neck, shattered my cervical disc, and I found myself watching seashells be soared around in a circle in the bottom of the ocean without the ear sound of children and women and men and everybody that was at the beach that day just playing around. And, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to drown. I thought I was going to lose my life that day. And fortunately for me, by God's grace, a man by the name of Jose Garcia, he found me and took me to the shore where they later discovered that I did have a broken neck. And that's where they took me to the hospital. And that's where my recovery started,
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And you were if I remember correctly, you had told me that you had, prior to going swimming, in this was in Newport Beach, you said?
Yes, in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
Yes, prior.
So tell us what you were involved in before that, because I think you were involved in some service to a local church, correct?
Absolutely. So I was volunteering my time for an organization called the Wayward Outreach Prison Ministry. They had a prison ministry outreach barbecue at Newport Beach, and I was invited to come say a couple of words of exhortation, do some encouraging there, do some exhortation there, not exhortation, but do some ministering there and evangelizing there along the beach. We just took the peace and took the gospel out there to the beach that day, man. And it was a great day, sunny day. The beach was packed. We had a good turnout. And like I said, man, after the event concluded, man, a couple of brothers, we went to go get on the water, and boom, the wave changed my life forever. And here we are talking about it.
Wow. So this was a rogue wave that just kind of caught you by surprise, and
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Well, actually, it was kids in the water. The waves was coming. Newport Beach, between the two piers down there, Balboa. The pier, the waves are really, really high. It's a surfing community down there, so you can only imagine how high the waves can get if the tide is really high.
mm,
And I seen a wave coming my way, and I leaned and jumped into it like the rest of the people. But unfortunately for me, it snapped my neck, and I found myself at the bottom of the ocean, still subdued. Yeah,
wow.
pretty crazy, pretty fast, pretty intense.
That is an insane story. So after so you were found by Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
and obviously they brought in the EMTs and transported you to the hospital. And so tell me, tell us a little bit about that experience, and what happened when you were in the care of of the medical personnel, and kind of that, what you went through, and that what happened in that next week for you.
Okay, well, I came by past a young lifeguard who begun my healing with his training. Man, he was timely, man. He was calm. He was professional, but most importantly, he was human. He stressed the fact that help was on its way. He stressed the fact that I don't know the outcome of this ordeal. I just know that I can't move right now. And he stressed the fact of me being calm and not jumping to conclusions about what is going to happen next. And that was big for me. So from there, they took me and they brought a truck to the place where I was. They didn't airlift me out. They brought a truck to me. We took the trip to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, they immediately took me to I believe it was the MRI place where they do MRIs at, and they stuck me in there and they pulled me out. And when they pulled me out, there was a doctor there by the name of Dr. Trebizi. He's a neurosurgeon. And he told me immediately, he said, Mr. Mitchell, I have to do some surgery on you, and you got to let me try, but there's no guarantees. And automatically I thought, to myself, I don't want to have surgery. What's going on with me? And he wasn't going into too much detail, but he told me that my spinal cord was being suppressed and the pressure was being suspended by bone fragments that has entered the column. And
God.
that was kind of scary. So, by God's grace, I'm still calm at this moment. And I asked him, I never had surgery before, sir, and I'm kind of scared of, I'm trying to afraid of surgery. Like, are you good at what you do, or are you just a doctor, man? As if I could ask him. And he said, young brother, I know what I'm doing. So then I asked him a question again. I said, are you the LeBron James of surgery or the Michael Jordan of surgery? He was like, well, what are you talking about? And I said, well, LeBron James, he has the whole world watching him. But, he tends to shy up in the biggest moments of his life. But Michael Jordan, he welcomes these moments. He welcomes these moments to be great. He looked at me. He said, I am the Michael Jordan of surgery. Let's go to surgery. And that's where we went. Yes.
Brilliant. Oh,
True story. Absolutely. True story. Dialogue paralyzed, needing help, and I'm questioning the doctor is trying to help me. Go figure.
There, in leading up to this COVID-19 crisis, there are three things that a three spoke framework that I considered and developed. And the first one is preparation, the second is perspective, and the third one is progress. And so leading up to this event, how would you say what is it about your life that prepared you for this? That, in your past, you everybody's got, things that profound experiences that they've had to prepare them for the worst case scenario. And so so you're talking about the perspective that you applied in the moment, but there were some things in your life that prepared you for this moment. And what were the most important things, would you say, that prepared you and that you used and leveraged to give you the sanity to be able to be calm in the face of such incredible disruption?
I just believed in my faith in God. And I sat on it. I have leftovers on my basket. What I mean by leftovers, everything that he's already brought me through, I was able to look in my mind and I was able to access those things. And I knew that it wasn't me that brought myself through those things. It wasn't my own personal strength, but it was the strength of him on my behalf. And I just had to accept it. But in those things that I had to accept, I also had to accept the processes to them. And I knew I was in another process. I knew I was in something that was like it happened. It just happened. It was unforeseen, and I knew at that moment if I was going to get up from there, it was only going to be by the grace of God, only because of the things that I went through. And I've also attached a reference to why would God bring me through all that He's already brought me through for me to lay here and die, or for me to lay here and be paralyzed, for me to lay here and not be able to do the very thing that he's putting me to do. And that was my strength, Jim. That was my confidence, actually. Some people may look at it as being cocky, but I wasn't cocky about it at all. I just knew that God was real. I knew I had evidence of him being real on my behalf, and my belief stood on that. As scary as it was, I was able to be still on understanding who was going to be able to do and why he was going to be able to do it for me.
That is just so powerful. And there's something about faith and belief that gives us such internal leverage when we're facing the worst possible scenario. And that's really that was the preparation you had. And then when you came into it, you had this incredible perspective that maybe if you were panicked or didn't really have the belief in yourself as a result of your faith, that psychologically you might have given up and might not have survived. I mean, there's so many stories.
There was, you know what, Jim? Not to cut you off, but I would like to chime in on that point. If I didn't take my victories, if I didn't take the things that I've already got through, if I didn't have certain insights about those things and know who brought me through,
Mm.
And if I didn't take that, I don't think I would have got up that day. I don't even think I would have been positive about getting out of that water that day. All I knew is I was paralyzed. All I knew is there is no way at this point that I can help myself. The only thing that I can do was open myself up and surrender to the moment. But I didn't have to surrender to the moment naked. I had things that I can draw from. I believe we all have things that we went through that we didn't go through those things in vain. You can take those things that you've able to that you have been able to overcome, and you can draw from them in those moments that you have no evidence of where you're going to go forward. But you do have something to look back on and say, I do have something to draw from. So as long as you can know that you do have something, when you find yourself in these moments, it's not as dark. You know what I mean? You can draw from that thing that you've already gotten over. And that's all I did. I just did the possible those things. That's all I did. I didn't do nothing special, brother. I believed in what I already went through. That's it.
Oh man, that is so powerful. There are a number of golden nuggets in what you're talking about, and just I love the story. And just to take it the next step. I mean, so when you got through the surgery, and then it wasn't over. Obviously, you had recovery, and most people would say, all right, well, he had the surgery, he had this violent accident, had the surgery. It's like, okay, this is going to be a long recovery. I got to batten down the hatches and really focus. I don't know how long my physical therapy is going to last, but it was a little bit different for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Well, right when they woke me up, I have tubes coming all out of all of my extremities. I cannot move, um, and that's where I'm at. And they start to educate me, postoperative care. They start to educate me on the severity of my accident. They start to tell me personally what I wasn't going to be able to do anymore. And to be honest with you, those next couple of days were bad nights for me, bad days. I just had a lot of pity parties. I had a lot of God, why me? How could this happen to me? It was never about me, Jim.
Mm.
It was about what he was doing inside of me. And let me tell you what I mean by that. That night, I was able to move my arms back and forth, but I still couldn't move my lower extremities. So I'm a boxing fan, Thriller in Manila, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. I start to think about how Muhammad Ali took a beating, but he had a plan. And he had a plan to take that beating to wear that giant out. And he did. And he ended up winning the fight. And I just started thinking, and in my mind, I just started going, I just start swinging. And that next morning, they came to ask me, how did I feel? How did I feel about possibly trying to sit up and stand up? And I told them that I couldn't. And they left me alone, and they had a therapist come talk to me. And then they asked me another question. They said, are you willing to recover? And that like turned on a light inside of me. And I told them that I am. Then they said, well, you have to be ready to do some work. So they brought me a walker, and they asked me would I sit up, and the nurses came and they picked me up, and they had me hold on to the walker, and they pulled my body up, and they said, can you stand? And I couldn't stand, and they set me back down. And that night, that was a very bad night. That night I became suicidal. And not like I can take my own life at that point, but I was suicidal in the thought of, I can't go on living like this. What am I going to be able to do? And God visited me. He spoke some things in my spirit, and he told me, you all you need. And he screamed this in my spirit. I can still hear today. He said, get up. And the next day, the very next day, after prior to not being able to walk or stand, the very next day they brought me the walker. I stood on it, and I took 250 steps around the whole ICU. And that's where we went with that. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. That is just so powerful. And I mean, this is the first time I've heard the details of this story. I mean, I knew the kind of the a little bit of the backstory, but that's just amazing. So tell me about how you're feeling today, because it's been about a year.
Yes, it'll be a year, August 3rd. You know, my lower extremities are not back to where they can be. I am able to walk. I am able to walk without a walker or without a cane. By God's grace, you know what I mean? In my faith, I never used the wheelchair that they gave me. Um, my upper extremities are not as strong. Um, I was able to do one push up and one pull up about 2 weeks ago. But I didn't feel too well after I did that. But other than that, man, I'm recovering. I'm ahead of schedule, I believe. My nerves are bad. Like, I work with my hands, but I don't have no feelings in my hands. Everything feel the same. So sand and powder will feel the same. Hot and cold will feel the same. Um, yeah, that's about the gist of it, man. It's a long way back, but my strength comes in knowing where I started. Again, I drew back from where I came from. And every day I'm able to get the energy and I'm able to get the enthusiasm that I need to keep going forward in this recovery. Yes, I cannot dictate how my spinal nerve will respond to me moving, but I know that I don't have to lay still as if I cannot move. And you know, that's my confidence in me being better one day.
Wow. I totally empathize and sympathize with what what you're feeling, because I've suffered some nerve issues associated with the surgeries that I've had.
Yes.
And to see you have this incredibly positive perspective, even though you're still suffering somewhat, is really inspiring. And your perspective has got to you to this point, and you founded a nonprofit organization called Solstice Progression, which I love this because of the three spokes that I mentioned before of preparation, perspective, and progress.
Yes.
Solstice Progression kind of embodies that final spoke. So tell us about your vision of Solstice Progression and what you intend to do with it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So what soldiers is an acronym for sowing our unity, love, justice, and spirituality. And what we are a nonprofit that's looking to educate young men and women, adults alike, about what they have inside of them, their possession, their God-given talent, their treasure. So many people unfortunately run through life chasing the tail like a dog and they never catch it. And then they spend their whole life doing nothing. And they are not understanding that the very thing that they are looking for is inside of them. They just have to pull it back, discover it, and self-activate with it. And that's what we teach through our program called REP. So REP also is a curriculum that goes through social progression. It's a curriculum that teaches what I just said, how to self-activate with what you have. So basically, you cannot go out and achieve anything with something that you cannot that you don't have. Just like you can never plant oranges and get apples, you can never, go to a store and buy anything with no money unless you steal it. Unfortunately, you can never evolve as a human being. You can never find yourself in the places that you're supposed to be in. Unfortunately, if you don't discover what's in you, that's going to draw you to those places. Soldiers Progression is a nonprofit that God showed me long time ago. And he told me these things before I had a very, very, very traumatic accident. And I'm not talking about the wave that hit me in my neck. I'm talking about being falsely accused and stuck in a prison cell for 13 years.
Mm.
That prison cell changed my life. It gave me my vision. It gave me a light to my vision, and it gave me an avenue, and it showed me what was needed. It showed me how prison. See, God is so merciful in doing what He did. Because I say this today, He gave me the insight to be around the men that will need the soldiers' progression. He showed me what they were lacking. He showed me what they were fumbling with. And the only thing that they didn't have was self-discovery. They had everything else. They had enthusiasm. They had confidence. They had strength. Some of them were strong as bulls and oxen, but they did not have self-discovery, what was really inside of them that was pushing them to work out, that was pushing them to read books. They didn't know that they had the treasure inside of them, the treasure that they was looking to hurt people for, that they thought that they needed to go to the next level, the treasure that they already had inside of them, that they was running around chasing other people, begging them, hey, can you give it to me? The treasure was already inside of them. So we developed this nonprofit, Jim, and hopefully, God willing, we're going to get in these institutions. We're going to teach these young men and these young women what they have inside of them, and we're going to change the world doing it.
Oh my God, that is such a beautiful vision. And it's all about not allowing yourself to be a victim, like
Absolutely.
your recovery. That is a
Absolutely.
metaphor for what soul just progression is. You want to bring to young men and women the concept of personal responsibility.
Self-activation, responsibilities, recognize what you're responsible for, identify your emotions and process those things out, and learn how to operate under pressure. All you can do is what you can do, and that is the possible thing. When I found myself paralyzed, what can I do other than the possible thing? I had a choice: either lay there and have a pity party, or stand up and try to walk. I had a choice to lay there and why this happened to me as I started to do, or to get up and let it be a miracle and a story for people to draw from. Like I said, Jim, self-activation, brother. Self-discovery is the best discovery.
Wow, that is a really powerful message. And it resonates so perfectly with the type of work that I do with my clients as a certified high performance coach. And it is the high performance concept is all about consistently exceeding your own standard norms over the long term. So wherever you're at today in the area of clarity or courage or influence or productivity or energy, you can take it to the next level based on your own personal capabilities and skills and talents. And so
Absolutely.
that's why you and I hit it off right away, because I could tell that we were resonating on the
Absolutely.
same frequency.
Absolutely. And let me say this real quick, Jim. God would never require your life to change with something that you don't have. You already have it. And in your profession, I'm pretty sure you can meet a client and you can recognize right off they have it. They just don't see it. And if they do see it, they're not honing it in the right place and aiming at the right target. But that's where you come in at with your insight, with your expertise. And I'm pretty sure lives are changed as a result.
Well, I'm embarrassed by your commentary about what I do, but I think you're right on. I humbly give you appreciation and thanks for recognizing that. And you and I are going to keep talking about this, and I'm looking forward to the future and collaborating you and meeting you sometime face to face, because
Absolutely.
we're on separate coasts, but we share a lot of insight and a lot of belief in the same things. Um,
Yes, we're joined at the hip, Jim. Join at the hip. You won't get away from me that easy.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. This is a crazy time, Marquis, and so I just want to give you just the final word on a message for the world, for everybody in the U.S. and for everybody outside of the U.S. A message of inspiration, and just want to give you that opportunity to have that final say, and before we sign off.
Absolutely. Well, I will take this time to tell everybody listening to believe in the unknown. And what I mean by believing in the unknown, believe in the one where believe in the one who created you, and believe where the one who created you is trying to take you. So you have something inside of you called lungs, and lungs operate through the breath that they're given. And neither one of us or anybody that's listening to this recording can give themselves a breath. It's that God-given breath that you have. So what we say is social progression. We tell people to breathe in and to breathe out, and that's called connection. It's stronger than T-Mobile. It's stronger than AT&T. It's stronger than Verizon. It's stronger than all of them combined. And it's a connection that cannot be disrupted. And that connection is from your creator unto you. So when you breathe in, that's your creator putting into you that connection. You breathe out, saying, I hear you, I'm still connected, I'm still going strong. We are linked and we are going forward in that. It's just that you have to believe that. You have to believe that that connection has somewhere to go. You have to believe that that connection has an agenda much bigger than your own personal isolated wants and desires.
Mm.
That connection has a purpose, and that purpose has to do with fulfilling not only a plan and a promise that has to be with the evolution of man and the evolving of love, but it has to do with you and how you can become a staple in his story. It's a pleasure and it's an honor for God to write such great stories in me. A lot of people that have been through the things that I've been through have not survived. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people be harmed in very, very bad ways that wasn't able to survive. And for God to write this story inside of me, you know, I have to not only tell it, but I have to live it. Just like the story what happened to me on the beach. I've been I've been honored by God to be able to tell a story, no matter how I feel and no matter what I may think about the person that may need it. It's not my story. It's just my deliverance. And I don't own it. It's something that I share with him who gave it to me. And it's my pleasure to tell everybody listening that you too have a story. It is my greatest pleasure to tell you that you do have a purpose. And it is my greatest pleasure to tell you that if you understand that you do have a story, if you understand that you do have a purpose, you will understand why you can't have peace, aside from the conflict that you may find yourself in, aside from the noise of confusion that you haven't been able to rise above, aside from the things that you unfortunately keep returning to. When you have a history, when you have a knowledge that these things that you return to, they don't work for you. So I would encourage you not only to self-discover, but to activate with what you discover with and go out and change the world with that.
Wow. That just flowed, my friend. That flowed. And that tells me that you believe and own that story. You believe and own the concept of what Soul Just Progression is designed to do, to bring that message to young men and women so that they recognize that self-discovery, power within yourself, it's all within your control. And the opportunity is there. You just have to look for it. And
Right there, right
God bless
there, like within your hands grasp is right there, closer to your nose than your mouth is right there. But you have to be able to believe it, and to believe it, it starts the ability to identify it. The more you identify it, the more you'll see your opportunity, and the more you see your opportunity, the more doors are open, and the more doors are open, the more plateaus will erect, and the more plateaus will erect, the different places you'll go. But again, it starts with what you believe and what you believe about yourself and who created you.
Marquis, God bless you, my friend. That was just a very, very powerful session that we had here. And I'm so excited to share this with my community. We'll be talking again in the future. And, please, everybody out there, this message is so powerful. Please share this video with as many people. Let's make this thing go viral. Let's get Soul Just Progression on the map. And I just wish you the best of luck, Marquis. Thank you for coming into my life, brother. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Likewise, brother. And I'll say before I go, the community, you can look us up at soldiersprogression.org. That's SOULJAS progression.org. We welcome all help and we welcome all support. And thank you again, Jen, for having me. It's been my pleasure, brother.
Brilliant.
Joined at the.
All right. Take care, my friend.
All right. Thank you.